All right. So what we're gonna go over, uh, I've did some of these videos in the past, and none of this stuff is very good or successful on YouTube, and it totally confuses the algorithm. So if you're listening to this, it's more or less for my own benefit. I've used SolidWorks for a long time, like since 2007, and because I'm a subcontractor, I have done a lot of different projects and for a lot of different industries. What you're seeing on the screen is something very basic. My hope would be that SolidWorks sees this and some program manager there takes action on one or many of these items that I'll be bringing up in these videos. So the series is called Hey SolidWorks, and it's a nice way of trying to communicate that instead of working on things that I think, or things, this is all my opinion, so these are things that provide absolutely no value to me. I don't need my files stored online. I don't need the program hosted online. I understand they think the world is going to a SAS model, but that actually deters me from ever using their products again. This is SolidWorks 2018. Probably will never roll forward from that. They don't let you back purchase any of the older programs. I had a customer recently who tried to purchase SolidWorks 2023. They wouldn't let them do it. Okay, like I was saying, I don't need any of the online services. It doesn't fit my business model. I predominantly run all of my customers through Dropbox unless there's some specific reason they don't want me to. A lot of my customers, I keep my side CAD data and their side CAD data. They generally have their own Dropbox location, or they internalize the files somehow. So I keep my own internal backups and organize the files in a way that makes sense to me for the customer. And I generally don't expose them to that side. And then if they want shared data, I'll set something up on Dropbox for them. There's a bunch of manual labor. When you're a contractor, I really don't think that the PLM system really doesn't fit a contractor setup. In fact, we tried to do a PLM setup with multiple contractors in multiple locations, and it wasn't impossible, but you more or less had to purchase PDM Professional, and it involved trying to set up a server somewhere and have everyone route files through that, and just a lot of overhead. We really ended up trying to have a system administrator, and it added a whole bunch of cost and layering and calls in when permissions didn't go well or files didn't get shared properly. And it was much easier to manage the contractors through one person. So we basically had one of the contractors act as a gatekeeper. We had teams set up so that everyone basically checked teams to see if files were checked out. We had meetings once a week to keep everyone in the loop as far as what was checked out, what was being worked on. It kind of gave everybody an idea of what their role was in the project. I don't know how I got off on the tangent, other than I think that it's my opinion, again, this is just my opinion as a contractor, that SolidWorks has kind of gone off a cliff as far as services offered. I think they're so hung up, and maybe this is a bigger symptom of the world, the computer world at large, but they're so hung up on this SAS model, or this rental model, whatever you want to call it, where you pay a yearly fee to lease their program. You don't own it anymore. I completely went away from Adobe for that reason. I used to be a Premiere user, and now I'm using DaVinci Resolve. I use a different program for my photo editing for YouTube that I also just own. There's also a bunch of freemium or open source like GMP or GIMP. I just think that I think SolidWorks, unfortunately, is going to have a bigger piece, or maybe for them it's a more lucrative piece of a smaller pie. And what I mean by that is I think there's going to be a lot of CAD users like me who end up looking for a more traditional ownership type system, you know, the way SolidWorks used to be or the way that AutoCAD used to be. It has me seriously looking at Solid Edge, even though they have a tiny market share. You own the program. If you look at Rhino, you own the program. And so this whole idea that the CAD industry is going to put up with this rental model, I think that Dassault is very confused. And I think there's going to be a competitor that comes along, and all the competitor has to do is offer a CAD system with very similar capabilities that I can install on my desktop, and I don't have this elaborate connection to the internet, and they are going to lose an enormous market share. And so Dassault or SolidWorks, if you're listening, if you're somebody out there that's of any importance, which I doubt you will be, but if you are, you're going to have your lunch taken from you. I think that the ultimate resolution will be something more along the lines of Blender, where you're basically purchasing extensions for a program that's nearly free. Or I look at DaVinci, and their whole business model is selling hardware and other, I don't even know what else they offer, but I'm sure that they make all their money outside of DaVinci. Maybe they'll charge for it someday, but as long as they charge a reasonable amount and it's my program on my computer, that's a service that's worth paying for. This copy of SolidWorks was $7,000 for a guy that makes blue collar income, and having to pay $7,000 for SolidWorks Professional every 3 years is a big pill for a guy like me. And so the fact that they think they're going to rent a program out to me so that I can keep all my files in the cloud is just ridiculous. It will never happen. And your situation could be completely different. You could be working for a big corporate entity. You come to work, you clock in at 8, you leave at 4:30, and you don't give a shit about anything else. You grind, you put your CAD hours in, and you're all done for the day. And you're a quote-unquote power user inside of your CAD environment, and maybe you do sheet metal all day or mold design, and you've never been exposed to hardly any other industries. You know the program really well. You're, like I said, you think you're a power user, and that's not a put down. But when you're a contractor and you're exposed to all kinds of different environments, what you see problems with the program based on the industry it's being used for. And you would have knowledge because you use it every day in a specific industry that I don't have. But I have used it in maybe 100 different industries. I've used it for a whole bunch of stuff it was never even intended for. I used it for integrated chip design, where I needed 10 places of accuracy, and SolidWorks only has 8. So there's crazy situations I've found myself in. I've also used it for site design, and the site was large enough I had to make multiple assemblies to get the damn thing big enough to fit on the site. Where you run into the limits, the actual, what I would call the WCS, the World User System, isn't big enough. And those are all just things that shouldn't even exist. I can't believe that SolidWorks imposes a size limit on the world you can design in. And the reason I'm surprised is, from a programming level, they're just numbers. Why does it care if it's 12 nanometers or 12,000 miles? It shouldn't matter at all. It's literally a function of just a bunch of numbers, and I'll never understand why they put the micro one. I can sort of understand. You get down to where probably video cards have a problem with 10-digit numbers, or 10 digits out. I don't know. I really honestly don't know. It seems like it shouldn't matter at all. It may have something to do with physical processors or video cards. Who knows? I'm going to demonstrate one of the things that I documented as to me being behavior that doesn't make sense in SolidWorks. This has to do with the drawing environment. So when I've recorded these line items on a sheet that I have, I try to classify them as being in the sketcher environment, in the modeling environment, or in the drawing environment. And then there's some loose things that have to do with external information such as Excel or photos or things like that that are data that you'd use in here, you'd want to or intend to, and there's difficulties around those too. So that's one of the things that happens. I don't know if you caught that, where the 0.175 dimension would not line up after I auto space those three dimensions. 0.175 wouldn't line up with 1.75 would not line up with 4.75, and I had to do a control Q, and then all of a sudden it somehow recognizes that it's there. I don't know what behavior causes SolidWorks not to be able to recognize dimensions that should line up. But there is some sort of behavior where it doesn't auto-recognize that there's a dimension it should be lining up with. I don't know what causes that. Obviously, I don't have my template set up properly for what I'm doing here because I wasn't planning on doing... I do have templates, but they're customer templates. I don't have a... Dang it. I don't have a blank template. Well, I do. I'm not sure that it's set up right. So, that was... I meant to have that at 0 precision. Let's see, move this over a little bit. But yeah, I think the thing that surprises me so much about SolidWorks is that they're so focused on... I'm sure their company lives and dies. I would imagine it lives and dies by new customers and large corporate customers. And they're going to provide services for us plebs. But I would argue that the things that are going to be on these video series are things that just plainly shouldn't operate the way they do. They're either not consistent with Windows, so... I can tell you when you go into custom properties here, the way you can tab through the information and enter it, isn't Windows behavior at all. It does not conform to a Windows type environment. So those things shouldn't exist. They shouldn't be problems. I shouldn't have to talk about them, but they do exist. So. Let's see here. Like this crap here. This is a perfect example. So if I want to place this close, I have no way to be able to display this. What I would want for it to do... Let me get zoomed in here. Oh, sorry. I've been using AutoCAD. It's backwards. I mean, I can't even select this without picking the line. So what I would want it to do is ignore the center point and just be able to pull this over here. In other words, what I want it to look like is this. But I want to be able to drag it down so that the position looks, we'll fake it here. I'll show you exactly what it should look like. That's what it should look like. Hey, SolidWorks. That's what it should look like. I should be able to drag that around and detach it from the center of the arc. It does not need to pass through the center of the arc to convey the information I'm trying to give. So that's what it should look like minus the piece that's sticking out. Instead, I have to screw around and drag it up to the right height and do all this bullshit. In fact, I would argue that I should be able to detach it and make it so that it doesn't swivel on the center point. See, it's actually swiveling right here, the center, where the center of the circle is. And where did you go, fruit fly? Did I get it? So I should be able to right click and just say, hey, ignore the center, and I could drag this arrow, this text where I want. And I should even furthermore be able to drag this arrow around on this, anywhere along this arc here, and convey the information. There's plenty of times where I've got a crowded drawing and I'm screwing around with the way that this thing behaves once you get close to the center point. You can see once that bend line passes, you can see it right there. Once it passes the circular portion, the inside portion of that circle, the arrows in the inscribed portion, then it starts behaving badly, and it just shouldn't do that shit. It drives me nuts. So that would be something very simple to institute. It wants that section rebuilt. We'll do that real quick. And this is a part all about nothing. I have no clue what this part actually would represent. Oh, that's radius to radius. I need that. How do I want to dimension this? I'll dimension to the virtual point. How can I do this? I know how I can do it. So you've got a arc to arc here, tangent. And let's pretend that these weren't 1 inch and this wasn't 2 inch, but that it was something closer together. I'm going to use underlying sketch data to dimension the virtual sharp. Let's see, what view is this? View 1. We'll go here, show. We're going to put a point right here. And we're going to hide this. And in my world, TS is too sharp. In this particular case, I could have dimensioned to where the two fillets intersect, but there are times where the fillets might be larger than the intersection point. It's going to move it away from that virtual sharp. Let's see here. What else do I need? And see, SolidWorks allows me to cheat and do this. I'm sure that doesn't conform to ANSI. Or does it? Well, couldn't tell you. I'm going to flip the direction on that. Am I? No, I'm not. Control Z. Nope. Let's see if Control Z works the way it should. Nope. Just hit Control Z, didn't do shit. So it should undo the view, should flip it back around the other way, but no, Control Z didn't undo the last action. That's, I would say that's a very typical complaint of SolidWorks, that their damn program doesn't behave the way that it should. That it should have a Windows behavior. Look how hard it is to select this arrow. Look, I can click all over the arrow, can click all over the extension line, doesn't do shit. And all I want to do is drag this arrow back. So again, why is it so damn hard, SolidWorks, to get a hold of things? Why is it so hard to pick objects? I mean, let me go and see if there's a setting to see how long those arrowheads are. Let's go take a look. Let's see, should be under views, section. Okay, there actually is a setting, I'll be damned. There's another behavior that sucks. When I hit enter to push the value I put into the box right here, so that should, the operation right now should be 0.25 enter, which would enter the value into the box, and it dismisses the whole damn thing and then does some funky shit over here. Okay. So I've got to spend some time screwing around. What's my arrow size? 0.125. Again, with the damn entering, it makes me crazy. Let's see, arrow width probably is going to need to be 0.05. Oh. And because what you normally do in a Windows environment is so ingrained, I almost can't stop myself from hitting enter at 0.03. So if I really want it to take, I should click in some random area so it'll take. You know, click in another window here. 0.375. I think it's just, why is that a thing? Why am I even talking about it? Why do I have to deal with... I would even go as far as to say that the expected behavior here under views. So what I would really want is this view area would be a way to set certain things. But what I'd really want to be able to do is I should be able to manipulate all portions of this arrow. I should be able to set what layer they're on, what color. So if there's a default layer I want them on, I can leave it blank. I can make it none, meaning that it behaves however the default behavior is. I do like the scale with section view. This is a nice, this behaves fairly well. But there's not enough control over arrowhead shape. I should be able to do user-defined block-based arrowhead. Let's see, how am I going to convey that this is chamfered? Oh, I know what's going on here. There we go. I'm trying to teach myself to use the S key because it's quicker, but it's hard to form new habits. See, here's a perfect example of where I'd like to be able to pull that away, because I've got some text here. Oh, and I can't spell apparently. And I'm having to do a bunch of BS to get this to fit correctly. I mean, even this, what is that based on? Where do these snap angles come from? Is that like what, every 5 degrees or something? Every 10? I don't get it. And where's the global setting for that? I wonder if I hold the shift key down if it'll stop doing that. No, how about Alt? Yep, look at that. Alt makes it smooth out. Where's the documentation for that, Solidworks? Is it somewhere that I should know about? That the Alt key makes it so it doesn't snap? So this is Alt, and this is without Alt. Why is that not documented somewhere? Or is it? Honest question. Why is the whole callout feature not part of the dimensioning feature? Why does it just not auto recognize that? And if I want to just dimension the whole, maybe I hold down Shift or Alt. But why is it that this is a separate frigging button? Yeah, the main question is why can't I dimension that and have it do this? Hey, SolidWorks. Is there a way to set this up so it doesn't add that top level of data and it automatically just calls it out like this? Can I do that somewhere globally? Can I set it, is there a template? How can I do that? I'm sure I could sit down and do research and figure it out, but it just doesn't seem like it's very accessible. Let's see, is there anything else I need to detail from this view? There sure is. I need to locate the hole. This is another one I don't like. So I can click on the hole center. You can see it change, the cursor change. Now, if I delete this, what's it attached to? Is it attached to the center of the hole? Okay. Control Z. If I hit enter, it closes the window. Make sure that's not stuck to that. Okay, Control Z. What have I missed? What have I missed? How is that working? Did I chamfer that as well? Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I'll remind you that this is my opinion. Your opinion will probably most certainly differ. But yeah, the behavior that happens once you start changing dimensions on the part file is not what I would expect. And so there could be a couple of ways to solve it. There could be some global settings that would solve it. There could be also some expected behavior that just makes sense. And so if that doesn't make it into this video, we'll do it on the next one. Talk to you guys later. Bye.